one way or another, technology still bites me in the ass. What's up, buddy? How you doing?
I'm doing all right, man. How you doing?
Crazy week.
Yeah, that was different. That doesn't happen every week.
Probably worse than 279.
Dude, that card fell apart and then got better. You kidding me? Like, how often does that happen?
I think we've been blessed this week too, man. I mean, like I said, fight's a fight, man, but there's just some where you're like, it's kind of like Tony Ferguson. I think it's the what if.
I'll tell you what, we lost a couple fights that I was kind of mid on. They were all right, but then they came back and like the fights are better. I wasn't really too high up on Costa and Chimaev, and now I got Usman and Chimaev. That's like much better. That lets you know. That lets you know where Hamzat stands in the face of possibly world title. Costa, he's going to beat Costa, and that's just what it was. Costa's not really a measuring stick of where you're at. It's just kind of to stay active. Now you actually get to see like where Hamzat is at in the hole. Going against a former champion who's not too far removed. Still top 3 in the world.
Costa, I'm not a fan. I don't think he looked good against Rockhold, and let's face it, Rockhold wasn't in his prime when he fought Costa. Again, the injury, not his. I mean, he's had shit in the past, but like the injury, not his fault. It's staff. It happens. Staff, ring work. Come on now.
I saw his pictures on social media. That was nasty. Can't fight with that.
Fiziev, I should say. Fiziev got injured, but Gamrot got screwed because here's the backup. And then he's like, oh, I'm going to. But a Gamrot versus Chimaev fight, I don't think that would have been good. This fight is definitely more exciting. And honestly, they're the only negative caveat I see is I want to see Volk Islam on a full camp. I mean, I'd like to see Usman on a full camp, but you take what you get. I mean, these guys are both stepping up and facing the Dagestani boogeymen. Even I know Chimaev isn't fully Dagestani, but the Amish beard mafia, both of them. So
I'll tell you what, the thing with Volkanovski, man, is the reason that guy's as good as he is. He's ready. You know what I mean? He knows this is a possibility, and Volkanovski stays ready, man. That guy trains hard. He doesn't like, you and I were talking about how interesting it would have been if maybe Justin Gaethje could have got the call for, and he said, hey, I can't make the weight. I'm too high. It's too short notice. Volkanovski's like, let's go. He's right there. He's on point now. He is coming up a weight class again, so maybe if it would have been 45, it would have been different. But, dude, Volkanovski stays ready. Like, he's going to – I'll tell you what. I do enjoy betting some of these fights. That's one I won't even touch. I have no idea how it's going to go, man. Volkanovski is really, really good.
Well, we communicate all the time, but so I'm even afraid to touch it. I got that free money from Barstool last week, so I'm kind of like, now I'm not saying I didn't play any on the casino and lose any at the casino on Barstool Online, but hey, I'm still in the green for profit.
I'll tell you what, I was more confident that Makhachev was going to beat Oliveira again than I am that he's going to beat Volkanovski again. I don't know that that's a given.
This is the year of the upset, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. I think Volkanovski has a better chance to beat Makhachev than, the way Islam beat Oliveira the first time. I mean, he just went in there and just manhandled him, threw him down. And I like Charles Oliveira. He's crazy good. But I just think his style against Oliveira, he's just so dominant. He's going to win that every time. Whereas Volkanovski, Volkanovski knows how the first fight went, and I can't see Volkanovski being scared of anything. With what Makhachev did in the first fight. Yeah. I think Volkanovski knows if I don't play this ground game and let this guy take my back, he's going to have a hard time beating me at anything else. Like, I think we could, I'm not saying bet it, but I think we could see a Volkanovski upset this weekend.
On any given day, anything can happen.
It's true. It takes definitely one punch to mix it up. Yep.
That's all it takes. I mean, literally, I just watched it today. It popped up, and I always watch it. I like watching like the I'd say the 3/4 clip, not quite the full highlight, but literally Daniel Cormier and them are writing his obituary, and Rocky Edwards' coach between 4 and 5, man, gave him that dig your ass out of the fire speech, and they called it. He's seen it. nailed it. Boom, new world champion. And how I don't even remember what was left in that fight, but it wasn't much.
Well, I think less than a minute. I think it was maybe
It was
40
deep
or
in the fifth, I'm pretty sure.
I think it was 40 seconds left, maybe.
Yeah,
it wasn't more than a minute and a half. I mean,
Yeah,
we were around in the final turn before that happened. So yeah, it's I think this is going to be an interesting fight card to watch. It's rare you see a fight card fall apart and then actually get better. But Dana White's good at what he does. Everybody likes to talk that shit. He puts together good fight cards.
Well, Dana White and then the new matchmaking team. There's a new matchmaker in the UFC. Did you see that this week?
I did not. Holy cow!
So,
threw that one by me.
Yeah, there was a contest, and you talk about things falling into place. So there was a contest.
That was for one fight, though. That was for one fight.
Dana hired him on the spot
because he knew. Yeah, I read that Dana knew
he
everything.
Apparently is more of a nut than you are, and got hired on the spot. And the thing is about everything falling into place. So this guy gets hired by the UFC. Clearly, that's life changing. You're moving out to Jersey. But of all things for his wife to do, because of course, you're married. I don't know if he's got kids or not, but I definitely know he's married. Of all the things for that guy to win that contest for his wife to do, she's a blackjack dealer at a casino. Dana makes one. Oh, your wife needs a job. Hold on, let me call Lorenzo real quick over, and you'll be hired by station casinos before you even land. Come on now.
I'll tell you what. Sometimes, just taking like an average fan who's really in touch and really knowledgeable, they could probably put together some better matchups. And the thing with the UFC is when they match two people, they want to have a plan no matter who wins.
There's a path. There's an A, a B, and probably a C for every matchup and every fighter.
Yeah. And like, if this guy wins, then we do this. If this guy wins, then we do that. And everything they touch turns to gold. And I wouldn't say an average fan. A fan who is very passionate about the UFC and fighters could probably make some interesting matchups and take some stuff in a different direction. It's like when Adesanya got beat by Strickland, and they're talking rematch. I mean, you can't just give Adesanya a rematch every time he freaking loses, especially when he was just dominated and ran for 5 rounds. I want to see him have to beat somebody to get back to where he's at. You don't just get an automatic rematch, But Dana White, and I think some of his, powers that be that were matchmaking and stuff, they are like, a rematch. Well, some fresh eyes, some fresh input might be good from the way that they've always done stuff. And actually, they said that the winner of Hamzat and Usman gets a shot at John Strickland. That means Adesanya is going to have to do something. He's going to have to fight somebody else.
I think we're going to see Izzy versus DDP.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's great. I
don't mean Diamond Dallas Page for everybody that's confused. That Dricus Duplessis.
And you know what? How much better is that than just giving Izzy a rematch?
Given all the drama that's already happened, the fight already has enough build up. It makes sense. And the way he got beat, again, I'm not my experience in the world is a toe dip compared to the guys that we're talking about, but like just in matchmaking and understanding plans and figuring out who you want to do with what and looking, it's chess. That's why the UFC does what they do, and they do it so well because Dana's 3 moves ahead. You guys, it's chess, not checkers. And being able to do that, and the people he has around, like Sean Shelby and Mick Maynard, like people give him shit all the time, but I've done it at a small regional level. I can only imagine what they have to deal with. I've seen the pictures and stuff of the War Room videos Mick posts. Like, just the amount of names on that wall is overwhelming. There's over 700 fighters on contract right now.
I'll tell you what. Had they gone with on that very, very fight night when they did the post-fight scrum, Dana said the rematch was between Strickland and Adesanya. I'm not. You know what? I wouldn't be that excited about that. Now with everything going on, like, all right, now you got my attention, dude. There's no guarantee that Izzy gets past Duplessis, however you want to say it. That's not a guaranteed thing, And the way that their history has happened and stuff, I'm very interested to see that fight because only one of those two can go forward, and one is going to get knocked back a step. So like I said, this new kid coming in, doing this matchmaking stuff. Sometimes it's good to get some fresh eyes in there. And get away from the way that you've always done stuff. The champion always gets a rematch, or the champion always does this. Like, mix it up a little bit,
Well, and some, like, talking about roadmaps and planning stuff out. So Dana's clearly stated publicly that he wants to make inroads into Africa. And of course, that's something that Francis wanted to do. So we kind of thought, maybe in the negotiations there that would kind of do something. But then the PFL made it seem like he's got free reign to kind of head up Africa operations of whatever title they gave him with the deal. Then you got to, so now if DDP can make it to a championship fight and possibly win a title, because at the end of the day, nobody's beating Dana in Africa. He's not going to let Francis Ngannou in the PFL beat him in Africa.
Yeah.
And he very well might. I can't speak for him, but I'm saying, just as much of a shrewd businessman as we know Dana, he'll do it first because he can. So does that solve some problems for him? But it's at the same time, like we've talked about before, do you want a double champion? Do you want to lock down the top of it? If this is going to be a war and it's going to shape up to be a pretty shitty fight, and Volk does pull it out, do you want double champs? Like, really, for business, and that's ultimately what it's about for them. Do they want double champs?
I don't know, and that's why they're better at this than I am. I see exactly what you're saying. Double champ is a bad thing. I would think if I was a promoter, I don't want a double champion because, man, I can only fight that guy. I can only give him the workload of one fighter, and I need him to, holster 2 weight classes for me. I'd rather have single champs at each division, to be honest with you. Now you get your exceptions along the way, like Conor McGregor and stuff like that. But that's, like I said, that's an exception. I guess you could do that with Volkanovski too, but man, you're right. That locks down the whole division. That locks down a lot of guys. It locks down a lot of storylines, as to how we could go with this. Because, I don't know. Double champ would be a bad thing. I think Dana White is hoping that Makhachev wins this weekend. He's got some stuff. He's got some stuff. Ilya Topuria. He's got some stuff he can do with Volkanovski at 45.
Well, and if I remember what I saw, again, it all gets jumbled up when you try and cram as much information that's happened this week. But it was Volk versus Ilya Topuria, right?
That was never announced, but as far as it was.
I thought that was finalized. I'm not sure.
Yeah, we'll have to double back on that. I thought that was.
I'll double back on that, but I think that might have been. I feel like that was finalized, and again, there's been so much, and I really try and filter out. Like my MMA news, we know Eric. Shout out to Eric Cowell from my MMA news. But I really try and if he drops stuff, I try and go with that because I don't question it. You get some of these other sites and stuff gets a little hinky, so I really try and focus, just on one site. But I also try and open it up and pull bits and pieces, and you almost can't.
I know who it is. The replacement fight is Topuria versus Max Holloway for the interim title, or I believe it was the interim title. I saw something on social media. I don't know if it would be for an interim title, but I'm like, yeah, that fight makes a lot of sense. And I know that the UFC would prefer Topuria to win that so that they could have a fresh, Volkanovski versus Topuria instead of Volkanovski versus Holloway 3. Where Volkanovski looked, that some people thought that Max won the first one, but it's hard to run it back 3 times when one guy's already won it twice. It's like, that's hard to get some oomph behind. They want that new meat, that Topuria, the guy is amazing, I don't
Still
know.
Unbeaten.
I don't know if he's quite ready for this level, but, we'll see. That's why they fight the fight in the cage and not based off opinion. So
if anybody's in the stream and they're watching, they got questions for Bill or whatever, hit them. You guys drop them in the comments. They'll pop up. We can get them popped up and address you guys fully interactive. So, I guess let's real quick before I forget, Mike Otero, friend of the podcast. I was talking to him this week. He will be coming on at some point soon. Today we just couldn't swing it. He's actually cutting weight right now. He's got weigh-ins tomorrow morning. He is fighting. He's doing right here. Give me 1 second. So he is Live Casino and Hotel, Hanover, Maryland. Actually, he just posted a little bit ago, guys. If you're in Baltimore area and want to see a good show, he's got some $65 tickets left. Hit him up on Facebook. That's how you spell his name right there, people. I promise you a show. They're doing it at the Live Casino in Hanover. He's got a few tickets left. I'm not sure if there's a pay-per-view code. He didn't hit me back yet. So, but you can if you're not in the area. Access.com. Right there's all the info. But always support Micah. He does.
I'll tell you what, they don't throw a lot of shows in Maryland. You know, I'm hoping to see an uptick in MMA out there. I know who is Pat Pinella is your guys, or he was, you know, our Greg Serb down in Maryland. Yeah. And I don't know why the uptick in shows just never kicked off. You know, I'm hopefully that changes. You know, I'd love to see some shows in Washington D.C. and Maryland, and you know that'd be great.
Well, yeah, that was the good thing with the PFL when it first came about, or WSOF, because you know all the investors and stuff were based down there. So you know they did a couple things down there. I was kind of hoping for some more regional stuff. If it wasn't for CFFC and the stuff they do, we'd be kind of SOL. I mean, we got some good regional shows in Pennsylvania, especially, but definitely a little bit more sparse than other areas of the country.
Yeah, no, but the talent.
I did see this. This is kind of cool. I wanted to show you this.
Good.
So this is to, I guess it'd kind of be similar to, I guess Octagon's a promotion over there. I don't know all of them. I just found it this afternoon. But okay. Brad Pickett, UFC veteran, who you know, I'm sure. And Patty Houlihan was a former McGregor teammate at SBG, and then he started another gym out there. But it's Ireland versus England. And it's kind of like, I guess, like they're kind of like their Ultimate Fighter. It's on DAZN, Channel 4, which I guess is their stuff, Octagon TV. And then if you scroll down here, they got a couple different pieces of programming. But it says, enjoy the best combat sports in Czechoslovakia, Germany, and Spain. So it's definitely European. Documentaries on MMA, Muay Thai, kickboxing, and more. So if you're a fight fan and you're already maxed out with Fight Pass and everything else, or you're in Europe, not that I don't think anybody from Europe's watching us, but check them out.
Yeah,
I thought that was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, that's neat. I'm guessing they're
something
going
different.
Mainly strikers if you're dealing with England versus Ireland.
I kind of miss the old Access TV. We were talking about it earlier with Inside MMA, Boss Root, and Kenny Rice and that. I kind of miss Access TV and what Mark Cuban had down there because, man, I really got into Bama for a little while. There's times where I'll just zone out, and it hasn't happened recently because of the upsurge in it, but there's times I'll zone out off like UFC and the MMA stuff, and I found some really great people that are now fighting, like Kiefer Crosby came through. It's similar to Cage Wars. Bama's more, I guess, in England, British Mixed Martial Arts Championship, but yeah, they I would like zone out back in the day and not really watch any, like UFC or Bellator wasn't really big at the time, but like even back to Strikeforce, I would just like zone out on it and get into like Bama or Inside MMA was always cool because before you had Fight Pass, you didn't have a lot of access to the regional scene the way you do now. So
yeah. No, I like seeing it all over from different parts of the world. You know, whether we're talking about England, Britain, Africa, you know, everybody's got their own little style of fighting. Everybody's got their own. You know, ONE FC is cool to watch. That's a totally different production value than the UFC. You know, they each do their own thing.
Well, that makes sense. I was actually watching something the other day, and Chatry was talking about, you know, and I'm going to murder this because I don't remember it, but like this country has this fighting style, you know, Salat and Taekwondo and whatever, and it's all leaving me now. I had it in my head, but he talked about that, and it makes sense. And it also makes sense, I think, why you're seeing a surge in the UFC making inroads into like Eastern Europe and Asia. That's why Dagestani champions make the most sense for the UFC business-wise right now because they're trying to make that push. You know, you get the Dagestani guys up in the mountains on the western side of the continent, and then, you know, Zhang Weili and the Rachmanov. There was the Mongolian guy that fought last week at you had trouble pronouncing his name. I'm not even gonna try it. The Aquiling.
Yeah,
I had it down and I wanted to say it to you, but yeah, he just fought on the last card, which we're getting ready to probably go over here in a couple minutes. So there's definitely you're seeing the surge of it. So it makes sense.
Dana wants us to be worldwide. Like I think if he can get to it, you know, I don't think they would mind throwing shows 52 weeks a year. I'm talking every freaking weekend, you know. I could see that's where Dana would like to go with it, you know. And you are you're going to have these, when you go out and do these shows, they're going to sign a bunch of local fighters, local to the fans. They've done it before with some of the what is it? They had like some of the Mexican cards, some of the cards from Mexico, some of the cards from like I believe it was like Seoul, Korea, I believe, or something. They stacked the card with people that aren't household names that you and I would know. They did that, which is actually a really smart move. Generates a lot of local interest. He's trying to take this thing like worldwide.
Yeah.
I mean, more than it already is. So. Yeah,
and it makes sense. I mean, you see it all the time when they come through in the regional scene, where you'll, especially if you're more of a fan than a casual.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, what's up, JJ? Thanks for stopping in, man. Appreciate it. Good to see you.
I could see them. Like I said, if they have what 700 to 800 fighters on contract right now. I could see him wanting to have 11 to 1500 fighters on contract.
700 and something on contract. I think the ESPN deal, which I think single-handedly put it up top, was the thing during the pandemic that single-handedly put them up through was there was no other sports going on, and ESPN says, okay, you give us 34 shows a year, 40 something, I don't know the exact number, but don't quote me, but yeah, you got X amount of hundreds of millions of dollars for X amount of shows. Oh, and by the way, we'll let you use our, you don't need help from our production team, but you have access to all the ESPN stuff plus all the extra content that they're putting. Like it's insane. And then on top of that, you have the ability to swoop into an area and a guy that's making noise on the regional circuit, or in this case, the regional circuit internationally.
Well, I'll tell you what, if you're the UFC, how cool is the idea of the Apex? Right there, you control the whole thing. You know what the overhead on a production value or the overhead on production is at the Apex as compared to a pay-per-view. They own the building, they own the cage. They don't have to pay anybody to set it up or tear it down. And they get to preview you guys. The Apex, the UFC Fight Night shows with the Apex. Those are literally basically not really a tryout, but it's a showcase. Like, all right, man, you shine on. This is how you go to pay-per-view. A guy like we talk about a lot, Joe Pyfer. He won a couple fights there in the Apex now. I think Joey's ready to open up a pay-per-view card. At least be on it. If he's not the featured bout on the prelims, he should be the opening bout on the pay-per-view. Joe Pyfer's he's rounding that corner right now where he's hitting that level where he's finishing people in that Apex. How cool is that if you're the UFC to have that thing?
I think it gives talent you're trying to nurture a step above the regional scene.
Yep.
But not quite the immensity of 20, 30, 40,000 seat arenas.
Yeah.
It's just the UFC giving these guys another level. But while you're bringing up the Apex, I did want to talk about this and cage size making a difference in things. O'Malley talked about it the other week. He doesn't like fighting at the Apex because the cage.
Tell you what, we won't do. I won't turn this into a ref rant, but Major League Baseball, the pitching mound is the same in one ballpark as it is the other. The bases are the same spot. In the NFL, the football field is the same distance. The field goals are the same at every stadium. Like I said, no ref rant, but I'd like to see the cage a uniform size, because it is gonna, fight the fight. It is gonna affect and or help one guy more than another.
Well, no, and the cage. What size do you remember at all? Like, was there a massive size difference between the size that you fought in the time you fought, or are they all pretty consistent up here?
No. I'll tell you what. I think. Don't quote me on this. I think the max size was 22 feet, maybe 20 feet. And the minimum size, I believe, was 16. I'll tell you what, when I refereed in the UFC cage, okay.
Which cage are the third? Because they have two regularly before you even added the Apex into it on a regular alternate show, depending on where the cage was in the country or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure they've gotten more, but at one time there was two, you either had one or the other. So what size were you in? The full size, the 30?
No, I was in the full size. I was in whatever the biggest size was. That was the one I was at.
Okay.
But I've also refereed for King of the Cage when they would come to the Meadowlands out there at the Meadows. It wasn't the Meadowlands. It was the Meadows up there towards Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
That cage was tiny. I think that thing was like 18 feet. These guys were, I mean, you don't realize how big a difference is when you shrink a cage 4 feet in a circumference. You know, these guys, if you're a grappler, you definitely want to fight in that small cage. If you're a striker, you definitely want that bigger, more open cage where a guy can't just bull rush you against the cage, you know?
Well, no, and that's why Sean, I think, said it, because he wants more room to move.
Yeah.
So, I mean, even that, just the difference of, when I was doing CFA in New York, we had a 24-foot cage. And the last show before I parted ways with them, we had an issue where we had to have the full, like, we ended up with an issue with our cage, and last minute we needed, a full-size cage. We ended up being able to get the UFC spare cage at the time.
Is that 30 footer?
2016. That was a 30-footer. So
okay,
we went from
my measurements are off.
We went from a 24, a 22, I think. I forget what size it was, but what we had originally had. But we went there, and then we ended up with a 30-foot cage, and we had to swap the whole show at the last minute because of the bulkhead we were in a mall in a venue, and the ceilings were lower because it was more like a concert venue. So you had an issue, and we had all kinds of stuff with the commission at the last minute. And it ended up screwing up a whole show. But yeah, it makes a difference. Like it's just, and even being in the cage down there, I remember when Strike Off, when they got the full round, and we were in there with the fighter workouts and stuff, doing some filming and stuff. And it's just, it's a difference. And especially 100%. A lot of these gyms have smaller cages. So then
when I fought, I wanted that small cage, you know. Yeah. I was not much, dude. I can actually laugh about it with my friends. I was not the best striker in the world. Like, I hated striking. You know, I came from a time where you could be really, really good at one aspect, and that was enough. It's not like it is today where you better be good at everything. But man, I wanted that small cage. Those smaller cages were nice. I fought a lot at Barbarian Fight Club down in Virginia, and Matt Douglas was the guy who owned it. And the cage it favored my style of fighting, you know, where when you go to some place like you were talking about Mass with Mike Molass, you know, back when he used to do those things, man, that guy had like the full size, like 30-foot cage and stuff. And it was just harder to track people down. So, but yeah, just going back to what we were talking about, man, I wish they would just to kind of, you know, give the sport the same feel no matter who or where you're fighting. I'd like to see the same style cage or the same size cage for everybody, you know, because like I said, just make it a little bit more uniform. But like I said, in some rant, they're going to do what they're going to do. It's all good.
It's working for them thus far. All right.
Oh, good.
Do you want to? I guess we can go ahead. I'll pull this up. Cover, because you hit the nail on the head with Joe Pyfer, buddy. So
that was fairly logical. He almost had him within the first like minute or two. You know, he took him down, I think, right away. I mean, he just bull rushed that dude, took him down right away. And I actually think he could have stuck with that and done it in the first round. But whatever, Joe likes to stand and kick, and I'll tell you what, I'm not saying Joe was in trouble. I don't think he was going to lose a fight, but that guy damaged him with those lower calf kicks. Joe was acknowledging it during the fight. He's kind of limping around. I think he even showed his calf off after the fight. Like, that guy tore him up. I said if Joe wanted to stand with that guy, he could, but that was probably the most dangerous fight. Yeah, you know, the broadcast team had made notice that Joe was limping around it a little bit, but yeah, he took him down, and he got that head and arm triangle. The guy was actually, I don't think I've seen this a whole lot before. I think the guy was fading out, and he was trying to tap, but he kind of was like punching Joe in the side. And then I think that was his tap out, but he didn't like open his hand, so the ref didn't really see it as a tap, as he did little rabbit punches to the wrist. Al Hassan just faded out, the arm dropped, and that was it. So
yeah, for sure, it was definitely, watching it, I was like, oh, he's working on trying to soften up the body, get out a little bit or something, and then next thing you know, he's out. He's just faded. Yeah. We can go back here, scroll on back down.
Yeah, how about Algio, man? He looked great.
Senor Perfecto, as Mike Pope said, as correctly identified when he was on the show last week. But yeah,
I'll tell you what, if Algio, if he wants to go next level with his career in the UFC, he's going to have to work on a little bit of power. You know, he can out volume people. He's precise. He's like O'Malley almost a little bit without the finishing touch. You know,
Yeah.
Bill's great. He's got to be what? Where's he ranked? Does it say on there? Is he 15?
No,
15?
I don't. I can pull up the rankings then. We can. Yeah, we'll check out the rankings. No,
Well,
because Alex Hernandez doesn't have a number behind his name, so I don't think anything changed. I'll check. The rankings should be updated. But yeah, actually, during that fight we had from a ref's perspective, and I want to talk to you about this real quick.
Sure.
So when he came in kind of. He wasn't fully extended like this. He was in.
Yeah.
And he kind of. And we had two in one fight. So MMA glove shape, MMA eye pokes. You know, this stuff comes up.
Yeah.
What, monthly, quarterly?
Yeah. No. I remember hearing the broadcast team. You generally do give the guy the benefit of the doubt. If somebody shows you that he got poked in the eye or that way, you can't see everything full speed like that. You know, these guys are moving so quick, and you know the broadcast team and everybody. They look at it 4 or 5 times in slow motion from different angles. Man, if you're a ref, dude, you have about an eighth of a second to see what happened.
Well, and both times it happened during exchanges, it was very like I try and look at things maybe from a ref's perspective a little bit more now since we're talking so much, but I've always tried to see it, you know, being in there and just seeing what they deal with as opposed to somebody who's never been there, kind of watching two guys and trying to see everything, even cornering a guy or any of that stuff. It gets complicated, but
well, I remember the fight. Algio kind of like waved off, and he's like, "No, it was a punch." And then the broadcast team looked at it and at first the broadcast team said it was a punch, and then they looked at it a little slower, and they said, "Oh, here's an overhead angle. It was a thumb."
Mm-hmm.
And you know, I think even Bill thought that he probably hit him legally, you know, because it happened so quick. And like I said, so for the referee to be there and stuff, you're generally going to give that guy, if he shows you the body language of an eye poke, you're generally going to give him the benefit of the doubt. And it turned out to be the right call, you know?
Yeah, no, I think he looked good. We've seen him fight. He's a PA guy, so we've seen him fight before. We're both a little familiar with him. But as always, everybody, I think the broadcast team pointed out, like, awkward but effective, I think is the term Felder used. Like, there's definitely guys that get in there that almost looks unnatural. But that's just because you're not – when you've watched Bill Algio fight 2 and 3 and 4 times, you kind of expect it. But I guess for the casual to see it, it's, he looks awkward. He doesn't keep your hands up. He doesn't. The Bobby Green's the same way. You know, people
I'll tell you what, there is just a weird side note. There is a YouTube video. You remember that old Mr. Perfect from the WWE days, the promo he caught where he's diving, hitting a hole-in-one in golf, throwing a strike, throwing himself a touchdown pass? Bill Algio has a video on YouTube that he shared with me one time. That they did like a remake of that with him, Senior Perfecto, Mr. Perfect. Like, it was great. Bill's a great guy. He owns a school down in King of Prussia towards Philadelphia.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just saying, if I'd like to see Bill hit the pay-per-views, I'm wishing all my PA guys, all my Philly guys success. I'm just thinking like a finish or two here, a little more power might not hurt Bill as far as taking that next step to get inside that top 15 and get himself to pay-per-view and stuff like that. You know, his volume is there, his precision is there, his accuracy is there. You know how it is when we want to see those knockouts, we want to see those big power shots. You know, I'm hoping Bill can maybe up the power a little bit, and like I said, I'd like to see him crack into the top 15 and get on the.
I think he's definitely got the skill level to compete in the top
sure.
15 in that weight class right now. I think it's like I said, it's more of a. If you're a CFFC fan or you've been following anything, you know who Bill Algio is. You know what I'm saying? And he had actually another one of his fighters was on the card. Actually, we'll get to that, I guess. Then.
Okay.
Another thing I noticed real quick before we get to the Dober fight, have you not noticed the uptick since Penn Gaming struck that deal with ESPN?
Okay.
And I know around here we go to Grantville.
Yep.
Oh, hold on. The man, the myth, the legend commented. You want to field this one? Because we just talked about this last week and Eric hit it up.
Okay. No. Here we go. Here's the deal. As far as the UFC bringing a pay-per-view back to Pennsylvania, I'm not going to go crazy deep into it, but I know our Steelworkers Union or whoever provided the employees for a lot of the Pennsylvania shows, they were part of the Steelworkers Union, and they they didn't exactly treat the UFC right. They gouged them for every cent, every dollar that they could get out of them. It definitely wasn't a Greg thing. If you look on Google and you look up from years ago, Dana White applauds PA State Athletic Commission. He said the PA State Athletic Commission was by far, not just like, hey, they're one of the better ones. He said they were by far the best. And I'm sure Greg and the whole commission, I'm sure they treated the UFC very nice and did all that stuff. But I'm saying the cost and the overhead to throw a show here in Pennsylvania as opposed to New Jersey or Virginia or something like that. And listen, they did not have, when it first started out, this influx of Philadelphia fighters. This just started in the last year or two. For a long time, besides Eddie Alvarez, there weren't a lot of guys out of Philadelphia. Now they have a Brady, Joe Piper. They have their guys. Well, the Dawkins brothers were, I think recently the heaviest one got cut, and I believe his brother did too. But they can throw those shows in New Jersey, and dude, it's no secret. They love the casino lifestyle. They love the nightlife of an Atlantic City or a Las Vegas. And that's it's how far away is Philly from Jersey? Are we talking 45 minutes to an hour and a half, something like that? So if you're gonna throw a show in Philadelphia, it makes I understand why Dana White would throw them in New Jersey first, especially at the Prudential Center down there in Newark. You're going to get all your Jersey guys, all your Ohio guys, all your Pennsylvania guys, or all your Philly guys on that show. I don't know if it makes a ton of business sense for Dana White and his team to come back to Philadelphia or Pennsylvania. I think Pittsburgh might get a show before Philadelphia would. I don't know. That's just my guess.
Well,
but I don't think it has too much
wrench in, though. To throw a wrench into what you're saying, and we're talking old ways of doing things as opposed to new things, so we have to think about that in perspective. You had a big issue for years with the unions and issues with fighting. The unions and the fighting have been intertwined, here and there. Stories pop up throughout the history of the sport. But going back with the owners of Station Casino, who had big issues with unions not being the owners anymore, and Endeavor actually being, this TKO, this merger, I think less of a union. We might have less of a union type of interference now because of the new owners. I think that's one positive thing we can maybe pull out of the merger. But I have noticed, and this is what I was getting to before Eric popped in. Mm-hmm. Thanks for shouting out, Eric. MyMMAnews.com, guys. Since Penn struck the deal with ESPN, have you not noticed a decent influx in MMA betting being talked? Like they got whole sections of content now devoted just to MMA betting, and I've seen a surge on live broadcasts. Clearly, we're looking at the live from UFC.com right here, and we got the odds right here. So, I don't know. I look at shit differently than everybody, but if something maybe you've noticed, or now that I said something, you'd be like, "Oh, wait a minute." But yeah, we go to Grantville, which is by us. It's a Barstool Sportsbook. They're phasing Barstool Sportsbook out, and it's going to be going to ESPN betting. So ESPN really has a stake.
Hey, everybody wants to get their hands on where the money's at.
I've noticed that.
Oh my gosh, everything. ESPN broadcasts on college football, NFL. Fox Bet was a sports betting service here, like Fox, the Colin Cowherd and all them. Mm-hmm. Fox Bet was a sports betting service in PA. Yeah, they you want to know how to care about two prelim fighters opening up the card? Throw $10 on one of them. You'll be emotionally and financially invested. Yeah, of course. People like, dude, I like gambling. I'm not any good at it. You figure I'd be better. I should be making a living off this shit with my background, but I'm not. It's so unpredictable. It
definitely is. And honestly, I shouldn't have hit that parlay last week. Vanessa Demopoulos, and we could talk about this. It was on the prelims, but it's really a weird concept for people, and it's part of, I think, the game changing. Vanessa Demopoulos was on the bottom most of the fight, still managed to win by the judge's decision. Some say, some say, but I think we're seeing something new, like you've been talking about with the judging and the transparency in it and what's going on. Because I kind of thought, oh man, first card on the parlay, I think I'm kind of screwed here. But all we saw from the Asian fighter, I don't remember her name, excuse me, but the Asian fighter, all we saw was like double hammer fist from the top and no advancing position. The ref did a good job of making them work, making sure they were working, but not standing them up, not doing anything. And it kind of, but again,
yeah,
any given day.
the judging right now is I mean, there's such a focus on it throughout the MMA community and the athletic commissions, and they're the UFC, they're trying to encourage more 10-8 rounds. Not what we saw a couple weeks ago. That was not what they wanted. But they are trying to if some guy gets a takedown in the first 30 seconds of the round and puts a pretty good beating on a guy, don't just score a 10-9. They want some 10-8s. They want some, the judging is in an evolution right now. I'm anytime you do that, some bugs you got to work out. Some, who Mike Bell, I believe was the guy's name, is that scored the 10-8 round against Shevchenko. Obviously, everybody and their brother knows that that's not what the 10-8 was meant for. UFC didn't even want that one scored as a 10-8, but the guy was trying to stay in good favor of the UFC, and he was influenced a little bit by that. But
we'll see how that turns out. If we see Mike Bell work ever again, then the UFC's happy with him. If we don't see Mike Bell, then the powers that be. Back to the fights though from last week. Drew Dober, number one at knockouts in the UFC. Record, he holds the record. Beat Poirier out at most knockouts at 155. Made quick work of him.
I'll tell you what. No, that was if I had a fight to bet besides Joe Pyfer, that would have been the one. Drew Dober, Ricky Glenn. Oh my gosh, he goes back to the World Series of Fighting days. I remember at the Sands Casino he fought Artur Rofi, and Ricky Glenn he's 38, 39 years old, and he's not a bad fighter. But my God, Drew Dober, you guys know the way he fights. Unless you're like a Matt Frivola type, who has the power to knock Drew Dober out, and he's going to come after you, and he's eventually going to catch you. I mean, even Drew Dober even knocked out Bobby Green. That lets you. And look at where Bobby Green's stock is at right now. He just went in there slugging against Matt Frivola, steamroller. I like that guy.
Bobby Green's definitely having a Jorge Masvidal late in the career surge here.
He is.
But on the other end of his career, Joaquin Buckley, who's got probably one of the most famous knockouts in UFC history, looked phenomenal at this weight.
Yeah, he's definitely ready for a step. He went from 185 down to 170. Man, he looks sharp. Morono's no pushover. He's not top 10 in the world, I don't think, or anything like that. But Morono's no pushover. No, not at all. That guy can fight. He's good. He's been around. He's been around for a while. He's durable. He's experienced. And Joaquin, that was just a domination. You know what? Really impressed that Joaquin Buckley kept his cardio and was able to throw the way. And you know what? He was up 2 rounds to none, and he knew it. And I've seen guys coach.
Great gas tank. Super composed.
Yeah, the 3rd round, he was still going after Morono. He was still trying to finish him, trying to hit him hard. I like that kind of stuff. Dana likes that kind of stuff. If you run out of time, you run out of time. Don't take the 3rd round. Don't take the 3rd round.
He adjusted real well because, as we said, Alex Morono can mix it up. He's definitely no slouch. He mixed it up real well. Adjusted. Another 10-8 round. If you didn't pay attention to the scores when they were read in that, there was a 10-8 round. I believe it was the 3rd. I can pull it up and look at the time, but at this point, just wanted to bring that up to you. Another 10-8 round.
Yeah, I'm looking at the odds on your screen right now. Even the public, minus 185. He's the favorite, but it's not like he's minus 500.
Yeah.
The public was suggesting that Morono had a shot, and man, he really beat the piss out of that guy.
I think he might open up. a little bit more like your boy Joe Piper next time Joaquin Buckley steps inside the cage.
We'll see, dude. But Buckley's going to get a step up. They're going to test him, see where he's at. They're not just going to give him another. We'll see. I would think they give Buckley somebody 10 through 15 next. He's going to get a good challenge at 170. So.
Also, another thing to mention, Drew Dober with that quick performance. He got performance of the night. That's why I like the UFC interface. It's so fan friendly. Dober got the performance of the night bonus, and your boy Joe Pyfer, $50,000 richer.
That guy, I don't know, man. The sky's the ceiling for that guy, man. Look, I mean, Joey has nobody throws. I won't say nobody. There are a couple, Anderson Brito, a couple other guys. Man, when Joe throws punches, he he throws to finish. He's not in there trying to feel shit out, I don't know. I think Joey. We'll see if I'm right. I think Joey probably gets the opening fight on a pay-per-view card next. That's where I would think he would be.
At the Apex. Give him an Apex fight. Let him headline a fight night.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. A main event for a fight night or the opening bout on the main card on a pay-per-view. Either
or
one
let the Petrosky thing play out. If Petrosky gets a win and Piper's got a win, and maybe UFC comes back to the 2300. No, the UFC can't go to the 2300. That would be great though. Philly card in the 2300, that would be awesome. But we already kind of covered your boy Piper, so let's Bobby Green.
Wait, but real quick before you jump off that, one of my dream fights right now, and the UFC is not going to do it because they don't want to derail one of their guys. Oh my God, Joe Pyfer versus Bo Nickel opening up UFC 300.
If the UFC's smart, they'll do Joe Pyfer, Bo Nickel at Beaver Stadium, Penn State whiteout.
Oh, that'd be great. No, that'd be
built to the rafters.
Not just yet. I'll tell you what. If Bo Nickel and Joe Pyfer are to ever fight, they're probably both going to be ranked within the top 5 or top 6.
That's going to be.
Other than that, you're killing one of your. You're killing one of your.
Let them come. You'll get to this, and then they'll go over here, and then at some point, you'll get them.
Yeah, you're gonna mess up one. You're gonna mess up one of your hype trains if you put them together now.
And as much as I want to see fights like that, I hate fights like that because I'm like, they're both on my fanboy list. You know what I'm saying? Bo Nickel, just being Bo Nickel with that. I'm not even a big wrestling guy, but yeah,
listen,
no.
Joe Pyfer is huge, man. That he's a big dude. I don't think. I'm not saying. I don't even know who would win. I don't think he'd be a pushover for Bo Nickel. Joey hits hard enough that
Let's hope at some point we see Pyfer Nickel 3, and we'll be here talking about Pyfer Nickel 3. No, Bobby Green, like I just said, a little bit of a late career. Bobby Green's been doing the damn thing. I thought about this earlier. I don't know. And I mean, as far as records go, I had a graphic up. Just the amount of, there we go. Wins over Ferguson. He's been doing it for a while. This doesn't pull. Yeah, I mean,
I'll tell you what.
Look at who he's fought.
We talked about it last show. I thought Grant Dawson was going to go in there and try and get him down, very Islam Makhachev style. I figured it would be, I said for Bobby to win that fight, I was like, he knows Grant Dawson is coming in there to take him down. Don't just let it happen. Just don't let it happen. Bobby Green, he punches sharp, he punches crisp, puts a lot on his throws. It's not uncontrolled chaos. But when he goes to hit the jab, he goes to hit. He doesn't throw it light. And he's pretty intense dude. Yeah, it's rare. I don't know what happened. I don't know what flipped the gear in him. I don't know if he's just fighting the smarter fights right now. I don't even know what they're going to do with him next, to be honest with you. I don't think you can put him up there against a world-class grappler just yet. Bobby Green's fights, a good matchmaker is going to make an entertaining fight. Nobody wants to see Bobby Green just get tossed to the ground and, some ground guy. Bobby Green's too good at standing up and being involved in exciting fights. I'd have to do some research on that. I don't even know what you would do with Bobby Green at this point. I think
at this point we almost got to let some stuff play out before we even let Bobby Green enjoy his win, enjoy his 50K, and enjoy his what he's got going on.
I'll tell you what. If I'm the UFC and I matchmake Grant Dawson versus Bobby Green, I'm trying to give Grant Dawson Bobby Green's name. Now Bobby Green went ahead and won and fucked everything up, and he won like in crazy, devastating fashion. That's not what I thought. That's not what I would have thought when I made that match.
No, it was not the fight I expected either.
No, I thought we were sitting there trying to figure out what was next for Grant Dawson, the younger, seemingly more skilled guy, and now all of a sudden Bobby Green throws a monkey wrench into everything by doing that. So now
Yeah.
what the hell are you doing? You know, you said Bobby's like 37 years old, something like that. I mean, he's there, right? He's on the backside of the 35 anyway, I think.
I don't know if this says age or not. Let me pop in here and look quick. I don't know. No,
He's got to be 36.
I feel like he's up there. I know that I saw it on the fight preview. He's up there.
No, it'll be interesting. I'll be interested to see because he's got some hype now. You know, I'll be interested to see what his next fight is. So.
Yeah, no. So pull this back on UFC.com here. This is going to be starting off. We're not going to go into the prelims, although killing the prelims, the damage. Just now saw him. I forgot he was fighting this week.
Oh my God, that guy's taking so many shots to the head, man.
Damon's on. Let's see who we see here.
I know McKinney's a favorite of theirs.
Ashley Yoder, she's been around for a little bit.
I'll tell you what, Gutierrez. It's rare that you see a guy ranked that low on the prelims, you know, of a fight night. Yeah, you got to hopefully get himself a little respect.
Yeah, let's hope. What's he look like? Off the top of my head, I'm trying to think of who he trains with. Okay. Yeah.
El Guapo. He stole Boss Rutan's nickname.
Yeah. Boss will be my boss with his tiny arm. He's got wins over Edgar. Okay. You got to win over Edgar in November of 22, but you still got to win over Frankie Edgar.
Okay, and then he lost to Munoz. That's
yeah.
Munoz pretty good.
But yeah, back on the main card, Cameron Saman, another one of those South Africa fighters, I believe. Does he train with DDP? I'm not sure if they train out of the same gym or not. 9-0, unbeat, so undefeated, 6 wins.
That's a good test for him.
By KO, 1 win by submission, 3 first-round finishes, and 9 fights. So not
slight underdog I saw there.
Yeah, not too shabby. Daniel Lacerda out of Brazil. I just saw he fought. Who did he fight?
Wasn't he one of the Contender Series guys? I could be wrong.
I feel like. Yeah, he fought Figueroa at one point, but nothing, no names. Let's see his stats here. 11-5, 10 first-round finishes, so that's why he's where he is. I mean, that's why he's in the big leagues.
Last fight.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we were talking about this one a little earlier. Okay, I root for all my Philly guys. So that is a very, very, very tough fight for Andre Petrov. When I saw him fight Gerald Meerschaert last time, he kind of struggled there a little bit with the striking, and he couldn't quite get the fight to the ground the way that he wanted to. And he won a split decision against Meerschaert. Michel Pereira is so awkward, and so maybe Andre can throw him down and implement some kind of top game. The longer that fight stays standing, the less I like it for Andre. And Andre's my guy. Like I said, I like all my Philly guys. That is a very tough fight, and he took that on short notice. You know, I want to say 10 days or 2 weeks or something. It wasn't that long.
There are dogs out there in Philly. Shout out to Donovan Webb, all the Philly MMA guys.
Hey, I'm rooting for him. I'm rooting for him. I hope he gets Pereira to the ground and does whatever he wants to do. Pereira's, you know what he looks like when he's standing and he's doing backflips and like running up the cage and like doing all kinds of quirky shit. You know, it's not like that's easy to train for. Yeah, he's a big dude too, man. He's a real big guy.
Nico Price, okay. He's fought some guys that have been around a while.
Yeah, like I said,
he's been around a while.
I'm hoping my guy gets him to the ground and does what the heck he's got to do with him. I do not like that fight standing for Petrov.
No. We'll go Martinez Yanez.
Yeah, Yanez is back. Who did he fight? Was it Rob Font? He took a nasty knockout. They gave him a step up in competition.
I believe. Yeah, it was the last. Yeah, earlier this year.
And that he did not look good in that one. He got dispatched pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So maybe that was a little bit too soon, too quick. Now he's back fighting the right. You know, I saw it was 13 versus 14.
16-4, 10 wins by knockout. So you can't.
Oh,
if you're If they're on
Not
this
saying,
card,
not
you
saying
can't.
he's
Anybody that argues the fact that these people are here, their resume speaks for itself.
he's not. Nobody here is a slouch. Anybody in the UFC is one of the best fighters in the world. Just that I think he could. Yanez, he looked very, very young, very green in that fight versus Rob Font. Rob Font's a seasoned veteran.
Rob Font is the veteran of veterans at this point. I think there's very few. I mean, you're talking these guys that are getting on the upper tier of these like the Venom. I was just reading on the new Venom contract because I haven't really paid attention to it really since the Reebok deal ended. Mm-hmm. But have you done any research on what the Venom contract looks like?
No, I haven't.
I'll pull that up quick. I can't bring it up on screen because I got it here on my phone. But yeah, so with the Venom contract, of course, it's based on total number of bouts, but it's also media obligations, all the stuff that the guys got to do on fight week, girls got to, and the fighters got to do on fight week. It just gives them it's tiered, just like the Reebok. The gear thing was in replacement of, since they did away with individual sponsorship in there. Mm-hmm. But so, and this is going back to Zuf WEC from 2007 on, and Strikeforce. So 1 to 3 bouts get $4,000 for appearance. 4 to 5 is $4,500 for appearance. 6 to 10 bouts is $6,000. 11 to 15 is $11,000. 16 to 20 is $16,000. And 21 bouts or more get $21,000. Additionally, champions get $42,000 additional for the fight, and title challengers get $32,000, and that's on top of any purses, bonuses, or discretionary stuff that the UFC has. So that's in writing.
I like that. You know what I mean? Honestly, if you're I'm just guessing. Everybody's camp is a little different depending on what they eat, how they do stuff. I'm guessing to pay all your training partners, your coaches, and all that, anywhere from for 3 months worth of training and all that stuff, supplements, food, and all that. I'm guessing 10 to 20,000 is about right. It's somewhere in there. So, guys can hopefully pay their training camp bills and pay their sparring partners and pay for their food and their supplements with the little sidekick money from Venom. I'm glad for that.
Old training partner of mine, Josh Hurd. What's up, buddy? Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate you stopping in and showing some love on Fight Show Live. Yeah, no, I think it's good. I think for all the people that bitch about fighter pay, I think they don't really. I mean, if fighter pay was that horrible in the UFC, you have all these guys going free agents. That Derek Brunson did just get cut, so he didn't really have the option. But that was more on the UFC side. But guys like Derek Lewis are re-signing. And the game is, I think, getting ready to change, and I think that'll give us a little bit of good segue for your anticipated ref rant for the evening. Before we get into that, though, I want to real quick, Sadiq Youssef, Edson Barbosa. Sadiq Youssef used to fight back in Virginia, strike off card. I believe he's fought a couple other regional promotions before he made the big step, but
Lloyd
guy's on a tear.
Yeah, Lloyd Irvin guy, Sadiq Youssef.
Yes.
Has a sneaky good guillotine, as all those Lloyd Irvin guys do. I think he finished somebody. Who'd he finish with a guillotine? He's was it one of his last fights? Yeah, that might have been the one.
Giannis. I'm not familiar with that one, but Caceres had that name. He's been around for a minute. Feely, Benitez.
I'll tell you what, the only thing I fear for Sadiq Youssef this fight, he should win this one. But sometimes his output, his volume, is pretty low. And even if Barbosa is not connecting with everything, even if Youssef is like blocking a lot of stuff, the judges see that. They see volume, they see who the more active fighter is. Sometimes you might hit the other guy with the cleaner shots, but this guy's outstruck you. Even if most of them hit your arms and stuff like that. I'm hoping we get to see a more aggressive Sadiq Youssef this time out. His volume can be kind of low sometimes, so that should be a good one though.
It's coming up Saturday, 7 p.m. We're not even going to go into the Dylan Dennis fuckery of the week because everybody who's been watching has been keeping up on that. But some housekeeping notes real quick. Okay, so the latest I saw, when I messaged you earlier, you said you were talking. The latest I saw was they were at the presser.
Yeah, who's fighting Saturday night? I don't even know.
We don't know yet. Last thing I heard, Logan Paul chucked a bottle at Dylan Dennis's crotch. Dylan Dennis beat him in the head with a mic, smacked him, chucked the mic at him.
Yeah.
And then Mike Perry and Dylan Dennis are facing off. It seems a little bit all coordinated to me. It's hard to tell. Maybe, who knows? Again, with this fuckery, it's hard to tell. But so enough on that. We'll talk about that after. Hopefully Logan Paul gets knocked out next week. But real quick,
48 hours from your imagine as a promoter, you're 48 hours from your fight. You don't know who's fighting. Promote that. Who the hell's fighting? You don't even know.
Real quick, sponsor Fight Show.
Yeah.
Who No Punches Apparel. October's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. Fuck cancer, right? Cancer sucks. Pull No Punches Apparel, local company here to Pennsylvania. With they're actually everywhere, East Coast. But Pull No Punches Apparel, shirts, hats, hoodies. It's flannel season, ladies. Time to steal your old man's flannels and his hoodies. Guys, better just buy two because they're gonna steal your shit anyways. But they have a Cancer Sucks shirt for the entire month during Breast Cancer Awareness Month for the entire month of October. Pull No Punches Apparel, and their website's right down to the bottom. $10 from every Cancer Sucks shirt will be donated to breast cancer awareness. So just wanted to give a shout out to them, as we always do. People doing good things in the world. And with that being said, Pull No Punches is proud to present this week's episode of the Ref Rant, our weekly look at what really pisses former pro fighter and former pro referee Bill Bookwalter off on a weekly basis. Brought to you again by Pull No Punches Apparel. Check their stuff out. They got new stuff dropping all the time. Without further ado, Bill Bookwalter, Ref Rant.
All right, we'll go in it's still a ref rant, but it's just we got a little slightly better this week when it comes time to USADA and the UFC. Okay, let me tell you something about USADA. Okay, they were a third-party company hired by the UFC to make a fair playing field for everybody. The intent was good. Their job is to test blood, do whatever the heck they're supposed to do to make a level playing field. These guys were showing up at people's houses at 5 a.m. They were coming to them on weight cutting days. My God, you'd read a guy was suspended for 2 years, and then all of a sudden it was down to 6 months. And they're going after John Jones for the picogram thing, and everybody can have their own opinion on that. This was not, dude. Your job was to test blood, and they tried to form themselves into some sort of FBI, CIA type operation. These fighters were having to let them know where they were at every moment of the week and all that fun stuff. I am so glad these guys are gone. Now, I see all the social media stuff, everything that you guys see, everybody's like, oh, Alistair Overeem's coming back all on steroids. The UFC they want a level playing field. They don't want somebody with an asterisk next to their name. When they market you a champion, they want to be able to say, hey, he was 100% clean, 100% good to go. This was the best fighter on the planet because he was the best fighter on the planet, okay? The UFC will have something in store for January 1st to ensure that we're back on a level playing field. They're not just abandoning any kind of doping or cheating or anything like that. And I know everybody's go-to. They're like, oh, they just want Conor McGregor to fight again. That may play part to it. Who knows what they think. I'm just glad that USADA is gone. I'm hoping they get somebody in there. Like I said, my idea, if I were to be able to sit down with Dana White, I'd be like, look, here's the deal. Because no fighter ever knows when the UFC is going to call up and say, hey, would you like to fight in 2 months versus this guy? Part of the deal should be like the day you're offered, if you accept it, within 2 days, somebody comes and tests you. Dana White says it's still going to be a third party. Okay. He doesn't want to be involved in it or have any kind of favoritism. That's a good thing. The day you accept a fight, you should be tested within a day or two of that fight bout agreement. And then again on fight night, you should be tested again. Okay. Now, I'm not an expert in anabolic steroids or any kind of thing like that. I've never done anything like that. But to get an effective, if you're going to take something illegal, to have it effectively help you, you're not going to be able to time these cycles. You don't know when they're going to call you up for a bout agreement. If you got something bad in your system, it's going to show up. From the time that you take a fight, if you try and take something illegal, with a dosage to get anything out of it for like a month or two, it's not going to clear your system by the time you get tested on fight night. and like I said, I'm not an expert, but they could just do this better. My ref rant for this week is I'm glad USADA's gone. I don't know what the heck they were trying to do, but I'm glad they're gone. The fighters, like I said, somebody, I forget who it was I was reading today, they said most fighters are going to be glad that USADA is gone. So I'm glad they're gone too. The way they were doing stuff, showing up in the morning, testing guys, like I said, just coming up to them on fight days and stuff, they were just a little bit out of control. Their job was to test blood, and they tried to turn it into the CIA, FBI type shit. Anyway, I'm gone. That's my ref rant for the week.
Ref rant for this week, guys. That's Bill's ref rant, brought to you again by Pull No Punches Apparel. Again, go cop a Cancer Sucks shirt. They donate $10 to Breast Cancer Awareness Month for the entire month of October. Go hit them up. PullNoPunchesApparel.com website. I'll leave the website down at the bottom for a minute, but I also want to add two things to that. Marijuana is not a performance-enhancing drug, and bring back TRT Belfour. So with that being said, bud, I think we're going to get out of here.
All right,
Fight Show Live, everybody. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for the comments. Thanks for interacting with us, guys. We appreciate it. Again, brought to you by Pull No Punches Apparel. Website's down below. 717 Surplus. Hit them up on Facebook. And check out their eBay store with a brick and mortar coming soon to the Gettysburg, PA area. I'm Price. This is Bill, and we're out.